very important part in the introduction of this project is the understanding of the origin of the art. We will touch several sections, dominantly speaking about so-called Haubrechen, so breaking the strikes or breaking the lines of strikes, which is connected to various performances, operations, and these are also touching the other disciplines, parallel disciplines, considering the original art. What we need to know is that the project, the database, and all the classes are based on the original instructions we can find in the manuscripts, so the original works from medieval and New Age. That is and also was a platform for the other disciplines. The other disciplines are stage fighting or theatric form of fencing or fighting, and nowadays also sport form. But back to the origin. The art is very old. It was way older than the medieval form. The medieval form was the modern form, which was based on the previous ancient antique form. So, as you can see behind us, there is Hans Talhofer, Joachim Meyer, there is also Johannes Lichtenauer, probably a depiction of Johannes Lichtenauer, and etc. So these are the representatives of the original, authentic European knightly or martial art. So, in order to get all the instructions functional, it is very important to understand, okay, so which form am I actually into, or I want to follow, or I'm already following? The fundamental is the historical, the authentic one. So the one we're speaking about based on the instructions from the manuscripts. Parallel to it is the stage fighting or the theatric form. And here we need to stop for a little while. In the martial art, in general, our aim is to deliver the impact energy with minimum effort or maximum ease into the impact area, possibly without the opponent's ability to defend it or to stop it. Therefore, everything what we do is aimed to reach real-time distance and possibly energy in order to hit the target. Speaking of fencing as Fechten or Schirmen, which is the art of defense, it's supposed to happen, speaking of the original, the authentic original system, it has to happen, or it's supposed to happen in a safe way. So it is the art of defense when we are defending ourselves during our operations in a way that the opponent cannot hurt us or harm us while we are working, while we are fencing. So we both want to endanger each other. We both want to be successful and safe. Now speaking of or about the stage fighting, it is on the opposite direction. So when one step back, the training swords we have are authentic reproductions or inspired weapons based on the finds. So these, the shape, the dimensions, weight, is meeting or matching the original finds we have in the museums or private collections. And most important thing now for the traditional historical fencing, we calculate with the fact that it is a sharp sword. So we respect one simple fact. Everything what we do is supposed to simulate sharp sword fighting. Now, back to the theatric, or let's call it stage fighting from now on. Stage fighting doesn't work with this. Stage fighting is using theatric properties, so things which look like swords, but they have different construction and mainly they are blunt. Yes, our training swords are also blunt, but in the stage fighting, the most important thing is it has to be blunt and it has to be safe because we're going to hit each other. Now, again, stage fighting is defining safety, of course, in the first place. So there we recognize two ways how we execute strikes. First is when we're pulling, so we artificially or purposely creating the so-called cutting moment. So when the blade is going in, we're pulling, and therefore we, on one hand, creating the cutting moment. On the other hand, we're creating the direction which my partner can follow in order to imitate the damage. So he's following the direction of the strike. And I can pull the energy from the tip, so it no need to be dangerous. And if he's going to open more, so as in stage fighting, he sees the strike coming, so he opens, and as I pull, there is actually no energy going in and through, but I will pull it to me, so it's safe for him. It's great, it looks great, it's supposed to be very safe and dramatic for the audience. The second is pushed strike. When we push the energy, give me again the opening, like from a side, and we create the cutting moment in pushing direction. That is very close to the authentic form which we call abschneiden, or it is called originally abschneiden, so slicing off. So the stage fighting supposed to look either the same or very much alike, like a real fighting, but it uses different, quite opposite methods how to do it. So these are dominant differences between the combat system, which is a real self-defense or real fighting or structure for real fighting, and its opposite as a safe and efficient theatric mediation for the audience. In real combat, we can also do it, but normally, as perhaps maybe somebody knows, maybe not, this is not important, European swords are not based or not structured for like cutting or slicing through, like for instance, saber types, saber type blades like Japanese or sabers, or just simply curved blades. So to expect that the European sword will hit and naturally go through completely, it will probably not happen. It can happen, but it is more a deal of a consequence of positive moments in the situation, because normally the system is not even thinking or like calculating with this fact. The dominant targets, if you can hold a sword in Langort, the dominant targets in fighting, in real fighting, are hands and the head. These are the main, because the hands are the first target we have, and the head is the vital target we are aiming to, or aiming for. Then, of course, we can stab in the body, so we can endanger heart and some vital organs, but that comes later. The first targets we have are hands and head, face and the vertex of the head. We rarely cut into the body. Why? For the danger, the fact I'm going to hit or touch somehow like the opponent's body in a real combat, if we go, for instance, like zwerg to zwerg, so I'm going this way, he goes that way, we can both hit each other, but in this moment, if I'm hitting his body, he's not dead. And then if I want to go further and he hit my hands strongly, then my hands are broken and he's still alive. He might be injured, but he's not dead. So for this reason, for the efficiency of the strike, the cutting to the body is rather accidental or seldom. The dominant target in real fighting are hands and the head. In the Blossfechten, in the citizen fencing, which was non-lethal discipline designed in later 15th, 16th and onwards centuries, that is very different, and there we aiming for arms in general, but not the hands, because these people were artisans and they needed their hands, so they were skipping the hands, they were hitting the forearms, and they were aiming dominantly on the skull from the ear to ear. That was the dominant target. Of course, you can hit the body, cause some pain, but there was no serious injury. That has to be also considered strongly, because this is, again, opposite discipline, yet it is not a stage fighting. But speaking of the martial art and the combat, real combat, hands and the head. Stage fighting is, on the contrary, choosing the soft targets, so it is aiming to the body and etc., and it's, slashing, stabbing, and it does everything. Now, why do we speak so widely about it? We are coming to a very important thing, which will help you to utilize the database. The database is based on the original instructions. So in order to be successful and learn the things in a way which will work and they will allow you to chain your actions and to successfully work with the opponent safely and efficiently, we have to understand that the stage fighting system is not working with the fact that we have a sharp sword. So normally we're giving so-called challenge, and then when the opponent is attacking, we are putting our sword into the trajectory, and as you can see, it is almost in the right angle. So it is edge to edge. That is one of the typical features of stage fighting, because nobody cares what is the angle. All the weapons used in a stage fighting, or I dare to say like majority of the weapons, are blunt. They're supposed to be blunt because it's supposed to be safe. While in the real combat, we speak about the so-called Haubrechen, when it is not a double action, so like strike and defense. Once again, the stage fighting. So there's the challenge, I'm open, strike, defense. There is one step forward and I'm doing one step backward. So there is strike, offense, and I'm going to defense. So I'm going backward. So basically our distance is still the same until we want to execute and imitate the hit, and then we're coming closer. But in the real combat, it doesn't work this way. In the real combat, we are both offensive. And especially in the German written tradition, when he strikes, I strike. So I have no defense. My defense is my offense. So we have vor, nach, indes. So we have before, we have after, and between, the time in the middle is called indes. And if he is before and I'm the one who's reacting, then he's striking and I'm striking as well. So then we have completely different operation. And in addition, when this is taking place, the distance is very different. Now the real distance for us is probably somewhere here, because if he strikes and I strike and we both make our step forward, as you can see, we can easily reach each other, right? Sufficiently with bending even further. So the distance is greater, the timing is different, and the blades are not meeting edge to edge. The blades will meet in the flats, in the facets of, or in the angle of the edge, and there's going to be an element which is called glutes. So please strike me from above. This is Haubrechen when his energy has been so-called replaced, versetzt. It's called versetzen. So we are replacing his sword from the line, from the trajectory of his strike. His energy goes into my sword, and if I'm trained, I'm still able to either continue to the target or to mutate, to transform the energy and continue further. It is not possible to make it happen when it comes edge to edge. Why? It it could happen only edge to edge if he would not follow my body. So in case he would follow my sword, please before, so you are before, follow my sword, or I'm following your sword. At this moment, I am not following his body. I started to go back. I started to follow his sword. So another crucial moment in the traditional concept, in the real martial art, I'm always following passively the figure of the opponent. So I'm driving my blade against his body despite his strike, because my diagonal movement is protecting me from his reach. Once I will decide to leave it and I'll go against his weapon, then he can do mutation, he can do a vexel, because there is no danger from me, because my energy is leading elsewhere. I'm not dangerous anymore. So this is one of the fundamental differences between the two traditional, historically authentic ways. One is the real combat and one is stage fighting. Even nowadays, modern stage fighting is following the same principles. The point is to mediate or even dramatize some fighting actions to the audience, while the martial arts aim is to prepare our mind and body for cooperation in order to get very efficient behavior. We'll return back to the Haubrechen. The Haubrechen is happening with minimum of force or appropriate force, because again, we simulate with the training weapons that we have sharp weapons. So when it happens and he starts to strike me first, I need minimum power. As you can see, I just hold it with my 2 fingers to deflect, to verset his strike. As Ondra was showing that he can continue to some other targets, I will now do it and show that the residual energy from the strike can be utilized for another strike and force the opponent for further defense. So, despite the fact he is attacking the first, when I will do my defense properly and I will utilize this versetzen and continue in my offense, he will be forced for defense. So he will start to defend himself because he has to. So you are 4. Then the distance is shortening, we are getting closer. At this point, what is standard would be abschneiden. So I would use this off me movement, push or slice off the opponent, etc. This is very important. This is something what has to be taken in a serious consideration. Okay, if I want to pursue or follow some traditional martial art, in our European historical fencing, this is very, very important. The Haubrechen, the concept of Haubrechen, is working with these points. Training sword as a simulation of a sharp sword. Yes, no. If yes, martial art. If no, if it doesn't matter, then we should rather speak about some modern parallel discipline. Aiming our strikes, even during the offense, towards the mass of opponent's body and possibly not meeting edge to edge is traditional, because we still have sharp weapons, while going in the bind which is edge to edge, and if it doesn't matter, again, modern parallel form or stage fighting. There is no problem. But if you'd like to enjoy the material in the database, please take this in as a fact. It is very important. Every bind, everything what we do is happening in the manner when the blades are meeting in the angle of flat to flat. Very often it comes completely flat. Sometimes the prelhau is a flat strike to the flat of the opponent's sword. So every move, every meeting of my blade with the opponent's blade is simulating the fact that I have a sharp weapon. That is the traditional, real approach. The others are either stage fighting when it's appropriately, with the specific weapons meant for stage fighting, so it goes edge to edge and it's fine. Or it can be some modern discipline nowadays, this competitive form. Often we can see that the modern weapons are also different. They have a little bit different parameters, and the practitioners, the sportsmen, are often going regardless of this fact. They're going edge to edge, or they even leaving the mass of the body in order to get some advantage, which is following the rule set, the modern rule set. I just want to stress one thing: it is not better or worse. I'm speaking about these basic fundamental differences for the sake of the understanding what you should know before you start to touch the database, because the database is based on this automatic knowledge, and nowadays it is not automatic. From my personal experience, it is more common to pay no attention or work with edge-to-edge parries and breaking the trajectories of the strikes, rather than working with the fact that we have a sharp sword. Then, with this approach, the original instructions will not work. They will not allow you to get deeper and to combine the actions and to achieve the results described by the old masters, because the system is based on simulation of a sharp sword. Thank you very much.